The following video is one in a series on spiritual resilience training, a non-religious view of personal values and their dynamics with others. The contents reflect a variety of principles and practices of systems theory and relational counseling for team building and family resilience. Although the series is intended to support Army Corps values, each video also encourages the viewer to reflect on their current prominent values in specific situations and to consider what values may be more appropriate to means and results that are honorable and helpful with others. Chaplain Dillard initiates creating and posting these videos. Their contents and YouTube's linked videos do not necessarily reflect specific beliefs, practices, requirements, or endorsements of the Department of Defense, its subordinate organizations, or other groups with which Chaplain Dillard is affiliated. Welcome back. This is the third in our series. If you haven't watched the previous videos, at least watch the first one. That is foundational to explaining the spectrum of management, where it comes from, some of the reasons for that, different ways that explain why we get stuck in our style. It's really kind of foundational to the rest of the videos, so I would ask that you take some time to watch that. Today we're going to be talking to leaders who are struggling themselves with their own style of what we typically call micromanagement, or hovering, or being very, very aggressive with employees, either verbally or relationally or in other ways. And as I mentioned in a previous video, I don't think that necessarily means that you're a monster or a bad person. There are a lot of different reasons that people take that approach toward their teams. But I want to be helpful to you because you probably realize that it really degrades the team. Not just degrades them emotionally or ethically, it degrades their work performance. If they're in what they consider a hostile work environment, they're not performing well for you. They're hesitant to bring you bad news because you'll blow up. They don't want to come to work. They make more use of sick time. They find ways to have a longer lunch or to leave early or any number of ways because they hate coming to work. And you may realize that, and that makes you even more distant from the team. It's a vicious cycle. I want to help you succeed. So I've got several things to consider here, both professionally and personally, some suggestions that may be helpful to you. The first of which is to slow your heart rate and focus on the vision. For example, a proficient, cohesive team. If you remember, vision is simply a very clear and specific picture of a better future. What do you want the team to be? What do they need to accomplish? What will right look like so that you know when you're moving in that direction or when you've hit it? Now, if you have a tendency to micromanage, normally what cues that is somebody is about to fail or they have failed in some specific task, or you're afraid that they might. And that starts your heart racing. You're angry, or you're afraid, you're concerned of what this might do to the overall team, what it might mean for your job security, what it might mean for reputations, yours or theirs, or all the above. And when our heart races, we go into fight or flight mode, and our body draws blood to our extremities for that fight or flight, our arms and our legs, and it's drawing it away from our brain. So the reason to slow your heart rate down is so you can think more clearly. When your heart is racing, you can't think clearly. Breathe deeply. Use some energy management techniques I discussed in some MRT videos. Visualize what you want that team to be positively, that is a calming and confident picture to you. Take some time, get that heart rate down, whatever you need to do. Don't go smoke a cigarette. Don't drink a cup of coffee and some Jolt Cola that ramps up your heart. Slow it down so you can think about what is the better picture that I want to accomplish. Otherwise, you're in reaction mode, and none of us wants to be reactive. We want to be proactive. The second thing is to know the context of the failure. What was your part? What was their part? What are the disconnects between members of the team? What are some of the external influences? Once you've calmed your heart rate down and you're able to think more clearly, think of the big picture.
Because typically, if you have a history of micromanagement, and I've been there some too, as a parent, we get tunnel visioned on a very specific problem. That person did that thing and it had this result. Well, that may be true, but there are probably other factors that influenced that happening. Once you slow that heart rate down and you ask about the bigger picture, ask yourself, what did you do or not do? What was that employee's link to other members of the team? Was there good information flow? What are some external things that impacted them? Because then that will help you decide what is the most proper solution to move forward, so you're not just looking at one piece, you're looking at the whole. Another suggestion, do a real risk assessment of second and third order effects of actions or inactions. Ask yourself, what is the ripple effect of this? How bad is it? Is it just inconvenient to the team? Did it just tick you off because it's one of your hot buttons? Or is there a greater impact on the team and the work? Once you do a real risk assessment, that will help you understand what is the severity of this. If it's not that severe, you might pull that person aside privately and say, okay, you messed up, that slowed us down a little bit, but you can recover. You know, work through lunch if you need to, stay late if you need to, take some work home if you need to, but I'm confident you can get us back on the schedule. If it's something greater, then you need to help them develop or put them in charge of developing a specific plan of action so that they can mitigate those second and third order effects, and they may need your help to do that. If it's really that severe, it's probably not something that they're going to be able to do on their own, so they need your help. Again, the goal is cohesion, to build the team with you and you with the team, so you're all working together. Another suggestion is to consider multiple first order causes for the shortcoming, your shortcoming or theirs. Where might this have come from? Were you simply very off your game and so you forgot to give guidance or enough guidance? Do they have some problems going on at home that are really distracting their attention? Are you new to your job and you're not aware of your boss's priorities as well, so you didn't realize this was really a hot thing for your boss? Are they new to the team and they have not developed proficiency in some of their skills and knowledge? What are some of the first order causes, not just second and third order effects? Because the causes are really what you want to get at in terms of what to do differently next time. Do you need clearer guidance from your boss? Do they need some time off or some help with referrals for a specific type of counseling for things going on at home? Do they need training to grow in a specific aspect of their job? The first order causes is really going to tell you what needs to be addressed. Next, privately ask them what happened and what would you do differently. When you take them into a room or down the hall or outside, out of the hearing of the team, that has several positive benefits. That will help them calm down, so you're more likely to get honest information from them. That will show respect for them as a team member to the rest of the team, so their respect for you grows. It will also help you calm down a little bit so that you're not quite as intense with them and you're more likely to get the details that you both need to move forward. Many, many positive reasons to pull somebody aside and ask privately, tell me how this happened, tell me what you would do differently if this same thing, or if you got the opportunity to repeat this. Because it could come up again, right? And you do want them to think through solutions, not just to hear the 10 types of problems that they created or mistakes that they made. That focuses on what was wrong, but doesn't help them move forward toward what is right. Also, use these as opportunities for specific personal and professional development. You as the leader need to help them grow, because when they grow, you benefit. When you have proficient, enthusiastic, cohesive team members, it's easier to lead them. Everybody wins. So it might seem like an awkward time, a bad time, a tense time. It might seem like a failure, but failure is always an opportunity for growth. Use it for that, and it'll be a win-win for you and the rest of the team. Follow up by tailoring your cohesion with individual members, meaning your closer connection to them or your greater distance from them. Some people need a little more contact because they're new, they're less mature, they're more shy for whatever reason. Some need greater distance from you so they can use their creativity, they can use their initiative, they can multitask and do several things. If you get too much hovering with somebody who's really mature and creative and proficient, you'll hinder their ability, which will really hurt you as a leader because they won't be able to give you as much as they could. If you're not close enough to somebody who needs more attention from you, you hinder their ability because you've got some wisdom and strength and resources that they don't have in themselves yet. Again, that comes back to knowing your people and deciding who to be closer to in terms of a little more oversight and supervision, and who to give a little more space because of their maturity and creativity and their subject matter expertise in things. Once those people have grown, the less mature people, give them more space. If somebody begins to make a lot of consistent mistakes, and there's a pattern, you might want to check in with them a little more often. But it's tailored to the needs of the individual, not our preferences. Another suggestion is to equip subordinate leaders for their cohesion of their teams toward the vision. If you can equip and empower and train and supervise your subordinates, you have less to do. You probably have some team leaders. Maybe we're talking about a family. The oldest son can sometimes take charge of the younger siblings, and if you can help train them to do that, you've got less work to do yourself. If you're the coach of the softball team at church on the weekends, if you can train your special teams coach or your outfield coaches or whatever, you can tell I'm not a real big sports guy, but if you can train your subordinate leaders, it's a win-win again because they have more personal contact and can achieve greater successes because they spend more time with fewer people, and you can focus more on things that only you can do. It's a win-win. Also, lastly, in the professional area, consistently discipline and reward for the purpose of building cohesion toward that vision. Always think about the vision. What does a team need to look like? How do you help them to function more cohesively, intimately, smoothly, so that you're disciplining, and the root word of discipline is disciple or teach. Discipline and punishment are totally different. Punishment is to separate people that might make us feel better and safer. That doesn't help the team. Discipline teaches, gives them some discipline that helps them move toward that better future for the good of the team, and also reward successes. That will let them know to do that again, and people are more likely to repeat positive behavior if they're rewarded for it. Even a simple attaboy, handshake, thank you, recognition in front of the others goes a long way toward building the team. A couple of suggestions personally. Strengthen your cohesion with your immediate family and close friends. If you struggle with micromanagement, as I have sometimes and sometimes still do in certain areas, there's a chance that you have a good chance that in some of your close relationships, things are not as good as they could be. You can't let your hair down and be your real self, because if you do, that doesn't go well. Work on building those relationships. Then you will have more confidence, more peace, and more joy that when you come to work, you don't have to act out of that frustration, anxiety, and anger that's really about stuff at home. And lastly, invest in the counsel of a professional for any deep issues that you can't seem to shake. I'm almost 53 years old at the taping of this video. About 7 years ago, my wife and I were in counseling for 8 months. And it was the most helpful thing I've ever been through in terms of our marriage. And our marriage was decent, but it wasn't great. After that, and that's been 7 or 8 years ago, it's a pretty great marriage. You can ask my wife, but we needed help, somebody else's help, to get into some of those deeper issues that we couldn't seem to shake. It's not weakness, it's just wisdom.
At the release date of this video, I am stationed with Research Development and Engineering Command, RDECOM, at Aberdeen Proving Ground, Maryland. Because the majority of our personnel are in this area, I spend most of my time here. I do, however, travel to our distant units based on command priorities and budget. I place these videos on YouTube for broad visibility to Army personnel and their families, but I hope the videos will be helpful to others too. If you are assigned to RDECOM and want to request specific topics by video, training on site or by VTC, or confidential counseling on site or by secure webcam, you can contact me at jeffrey.d.dillard.mil@mail.mil.